everyone, so today we're going to be learning about the DLS Zetasizer. This is the instrument, and then this will be the computer, and also a bunch of cuvettes that we'll be using to run our sample. Okay, so the first thing we'll do is log onto the computer. For the most part, you guys will all be using outside users. The password is just the first word, so outside with a capital O, so capital O, U-T-S-I-V-E, and then we'll hit enter. So to go ahead with sample prep, we're going to use a small volume cuvette for size. You can also use a regular cuvette. If you use a small volume cuvette, you can use as little as 50 microliters. But if you use the larger regular square cuvette, that'll be at least 1 mil. And then, so you'll add your volume, you'll fill it up. You push this green button to open it up. And then you'll insert it kind of just like this inside. And you'll just push it all the way down until it meets resistance. And also, if you're, just a quick thing, if you're not sure if it's full enough, you can kind of put it up against this background and see if your min and max are in the right range. So there's that guy. So to run a zeta potential measurement, you're going to use this cuvette. It has like little ears. So to fill it up, you'll get 800 microliters of solution. You'll fill it up inside. You'll kind of stick it into one ear, measure it, or inject it, and then once you've done that, make sure that the logo is facing you, so it should say Malvern in the front, and then there's 2 copper electrodes on the left and right side, so make sure those are on the left and right, and then from there, you stick it in, and then you'll push it all the way in, and then you're good to go. And then you can close up and start your measurement. Alright, so to run the Zetasizer software, if you go to this top left and click Zetasizer software, it'll open up the program for you. So once you have it open, so we're going to first show you how to run size. So to do that, of course, we'll want to make sure size is selected. And then, so under File, we'll go to New. And we're going to first make a new measurement file. So we'll stick that. So if you go to Desktop and then Users, I'm just going to stick this in random stuff. Well, we'll just leave it here. Okay, so we'll just stick it there. So we'll hit OK. And then I'll call it custom. Okay, so now we've got our measurement file open. So now we can go ahead and run prep our measurement. So the next thing we want to do is make an SOP. This is a standard operating procedure, and it can be used over and over again. So if you have a similar type of sample, same like material that you want to rerun, you can have that. So we'll call this, actually, what was this? Yeah, we'll call this silicon sample. So for measurement type, if you're running size, just make sure you have size selected. If you're going to run zeta, well, we'll show you that in a second, but we'll show you first size. So sample, you want to name it. Under material, so we're going to go ahead and select what material it is. We have a lot in our database, so you should be able to go through and just find something, so silicon nanosphere. If it's not in here and you need to add it, you can go ahead and hit add, and then you just need to know the refractive index and its absorption, and then you can go ahead and add it. You can also make like a mixture as well, or like a couple things. For dispersant, so just make sure that's correct. So we're using water, but you can go ahead and select whatever your dispersant is. And then for temperature, so if you just are running at room temperature and you don't want it to like spend 2 minutes finding that temperature, you can set this to 0, and then it'll just automatically start your measurement. For cell type, so we're using the small volume cuvette, but just make sure you select whatever cuvette you're running. For measurement, typically we just do automatic, but if you want to do manual, you can change how many runs you do. Typically 3 measurements is good to get some good data. And once that all looks good, we can do File, Save As, and then we're going to save that SOP. It's usually good to do in the same spot as or you can just put it somewhere. Okay, so now that we have that SOP saved, we're going to go ahead and search for it. So for size, so we're going to click Browse for SOP, and then we're going to hit play, and that's just going to have us search for that same SOP. So we'll look for that same SOP. And then once you have the SOP loaded, now you can name your specific sample, so it's like some specific name to it. So we're still just going to call this like silicon test, but you can give it a more specific name for this sample. We'll hit OK. And then it'll pull up this window right here. So then when you're ready to go, you can go ahead and hit start, and it'll start taking that measurement. Just one quick thing, so while it's measuring, you can kind of click around to go to, like, if you had an expert advice, and if there's any like issues or maybe your concentration's too high or low, it'll let you know here. There's still nothing, but yeah, so right now it says data meets quality criteria, so your sample's good to go. And then if you go to multi-view, you can kind of just double check, so just see some stuff live as it's happening. And we'll wait till it finishes up the measurement. So once you've got all your data and you're happy with it, we can kind of exit out of this guy. So with these three, I guess, runs that you guys did, so if you switch over to the intensity tab, we can see this nice little peak. So here we've got 607 nanometers and then 0.05 PDI. So usually people just want this number right here. So ways to, I guess, save your data. So if you go to File, Save As, you can of course save it as like a DTS file. And then that's just gonna let you open up this data again if you want to look at it again. But if you want to just this like piece right here, if you do print and then you print a PDF, I believe that should take kind of a screen capture of this little piece and show it as a nice little report. So for this data, if you want to export this data as like a text file, you can go to File, Export, and then you can export to File, and then it'll save it as a TXT file. So that's one way to then save kind of these numbers if you want to record them and have them in Excel. So you can hit OK. And then another way you can save is, so if you go to Edit and then either copy size graph, that'll save the graph, or copy size values, then that'll save the size, or copy the size values. And then from there, if you open a TXT or a notepad, and then you paste, then you can have all those values, and then you can save that as a TXT and export that into Excel. So that's another way you can kind of copy some of those numbers, depending on what you want, if you want the numbers or the graph. So one common issue, so if you go to Records View, just make sure if you're looking at size data, you have it on size. If you have it on summary, you'll be able to see everything, but like let's say you wanted to add on some zeta values, you'll see that there's nothing here just because there were no zeta measurements. And sometimes in this view, sometimes people will be like, oh, like where's size? So if you just go to summary, you'll be able to see all of the things you have saved under this one measurement file. Alright, so if you wanted to then run a zeta measurement, so just make sure to swap this over to zeta. And then the only thing different, so you'll make an SOP. The main thing is just measurement type. Make sure to switch that to zeta. And then the only other real difference is the cell. So you'll set up material dispersant and temperature the same, but cell, just make sure you have the correct cell you're using. Usually this one's defaulted. But otherwise, it's the same type of measurement. You'll search for SOP and run it that way. Just make sure, again, you switch the QVET to the Zetasizer QVET. But otherwise, that's how you can take zeta and size measurements. And yeah. Okay, so once you're done running your measurement, the last thing you need to do is remove your sample and clean it up. So you can click this button, take out your sample, You should always bring your own like waste container, and then you can go ahead and just dump it out. And then to clean out your cell, you can use one of our solvents we have. So you can use some water, rinse it out, methanol, whatever you like, whatever will clean it out. And then we usually just do like a final rinse of methanol to make sure it dries off, so it's ready for the next person to use. To clean out one of the Zeta cells, it's essentially just one big U, so you can kind of like dump as much as you can out, and then typically I'll do something like this, and that'll try to kind of rinse out the cell. And then you can do the same thing with methanol to get that all rinsed out as well, so it'll hopefully dry faster as well. And then can put it back. Because they are a little expensive, so we do like to try to reuse them as much as possible. And then when you're all done, just close that up, take your waste, dispose of it in your lab properly, and then, yeah, you're all good.